Hello and welcome to my top tier Warrock deck profile. This is a deck that went 3-1 at Sunday locals. It is not actually a good deck. I hardly versed any meta decks. And if I versed more meta decks, I definitely would have lost. But good thing is, casual Sundays and Warrocks pulled up some wins. So without further ado, let's get into the deck profile. First of all, we have 3 copies of Fortia. She's the best low-level monster, or actually probably just the best monster in the Warrock archetype. Because at the end of the battle, if she survived the battle, she will search for any Warrock card, so that's monster, spell, trap. And if she's sent to the graveyard by an opponent's card effect, then she brings out a level 5 or higher Warrock. So you definitely want 3 of her. Next up, we have just one of Warrock Wento. Simply just as another summon. Also, all the Warrock monsters are extremely searchable in the deck. That's the one good thing about the deck, is that even though the cards aren't good, they're very searchable. And you can pay 800 life points to boost the attack of an Earth Warrior by 800 attack. This is good. This can potentially let you OTK, although OTKing in Warrock doesn't happen often. But also, she's just a normal summon monster that can boost herself to 2600 attack. So, you know, worst case, 2600 beater. All the level 4s float into level 5s when they're sent to the graveyard by an opponent's card effect. So, you know, she's good at battle, good if she's removed, you know, not too bad. Run just one of her. Next, we run, from all of our normal summons, we run one Warrock Orpus. You can always normal summon him without tribute. If he battles, he Foolish Burials an Earth Warrior. Note that this actually lets you use some spicy tech options, because you can Foolish Burial any Earth Warrior, not just a Warrock card. Very much considered bumping him up to 2, but because of how searchable it is, 1 wasn't too bad either, but potentially up to 2. 1 Warrock Mahmud. He can also be normal summoned without tribute 99% of the time. And if he survives, he pops a spell and trap. 9 times out of 10, if they have back row, they'll use it just to stop him from battling or negate his effects anyways. So he never really gets his effect off. But it's the threat of his effect that makes back row decks have to respond to him. Against a deck that's not a control deck, he's not that good. You know, any kind of deck that's not control and runs back row can just remove or negate him before he battles in the first place. But I think one of's nice just as a searchable out for spell and traps. Next, we run 2 copies of Gyarados. I see a lot of people run 3 copies, but my build isn't a very Xyz heavy build. I feel like if you're going more into the Xyz and links, then you want 3. But 2 is honestly fine. There's so many cards in the deck that can search Gyarados. They ended up just searching it half the time, and this is a nice extender. Not much else to say, because on the field he doesn't really do anything else except give extra material. He doesn't do any like battle shenanigans like the other ones do, so I think 2's fine. And next, for the high levels, we run 1 Warrock Skylar. She honestly rarely came up. She makes your good boards better, because if you start going off when the game goes longer, she can just start reviving stuff every turn. Unfortunately, whatever she revives can't attack directly, which is just like the worst thing, because you can't OTK. Like, you think she would let you OTK, but she never does. So I see people not running her sometimes. I'm not really sure, but one was alright. The one that's a mandatory is 2 Bachelios. He's the high level that can actually summon himself with his own effect. So if you don't have Warrock Mountain, he's not a brick. I mean, he's still bricky as hell. I hate this guy sometimes, but it's not as bricky. And he's the best card to send with Orpus to the graveyard because he can summon himself from the graveyard with his own effect. The direct attack never really comes up, except if the opponent's low on life points. Then you can be like, Bachelios for game. But yeah, 2's pretty much mandatory. Last of all, for the Warrock monsters, we run 1 Meteoragon. Yeah, he's not too bad. Can't be destroyed by card effects, negate whatever he battles. Also, he can attack 2 monsters. This is how you can OTK, because especially with like a Wento, a double attack of over 3,000 on monsters, plus Wento attack, plus potentially like Gactos attack, can do a whole lot of damage. But yeah, it's kind of like your boss monster, but he actually never really came up that much. But you still run 1, because it's kind of threatening, I guess. Next, we run tech cards. I was running 1 Guy the Fierce Knight Origin. After playing on Sunday, I would probably cut this. But basically, it's 2 tributes for the tribute summon of a warrior. Never comes up. You can discard a level 5 or higher monster to special summon this from your hand. This effect's actually pretty nice because it's not just a Warrock or Earth Warrior. You can discard any level 5 or higher. So if you brick with some like random level 5 in your hand or higher, you can just discard it to special him. But I mainly run it for his grave effect. Again, sending with Orpus. That during the battle phase, you can banish it from your graveyard and target 1 monster on either side of the field and change its attack back to its original attack. This is nice because if they lower your attack, you can make your attack go back up to the original. Or if they've boosted, like if they have an access code, you can make access code go back down to 2300. It honestly never really came up enough for this to be useful. So I would probably cut this. Mainly because I run 2 of a newer card. So I don't feel like this is needed as much. The new card I run is 2 copies of Rookie Warrior Lady. She's kind of like Honest, except she doesn't boost attack, she lowers your opponent's attack, so she doesn't work against stuff that's unaffected. But yeah, she lowers the monster's attack by its original attack, so half the time she lowers it to 0 attack. Really good because Warrocks have trouble beating over stuff that's stronger than them, and this makes it so your Warrocks can beat over anything, survive the battle, start triggering off all your effects. She also has a really nice graveyard effect where you can banish her from the graveyard to add back an Earth Warrior from your graveyard. And you can use both effects in the same turn, so if you do on your turn, like lower the opponent's attack to 0, discard her, then like during main phase 2, you can banish her to add back an Earth Warrior from your graveyard. So not only is she a nice kind of like a hand trap for battles, but she's also something you can send with Orpus in the graveyard just to get more recursion. So I really like the 2 copies of her. Next up is actually like one of the 2 really good cards in the deck, Warrock Mountain. It's your Searcher. At the start of the battle phase, if you control no monsters or all warriors, you can special a Warrock from your hand. And this is both battle phases, so you catch your opponent off guard by special summoning a monster during their battle phase. And the second effect that catches people off guard is it can send itself to the graveyard to stop one of your warriors from being destroyed by battle. So this is actually really good because it ensures that you survive, start triggering off your effects. The opponent might think they have game, or might be able to get past your stuff, but if they only have one monster that can beat past your big Warrock, this can stop it, and then all their lower stuff can attack you directly. So yeah, this is very, very... It's a really good card. Like, all three effects are really nice for the deck. The second actually good card is Warrock Medium, which people have to read the effect every time I use it. I'm actually going to start with the second effect, that during your main phase, you can set a Warrock spell or trap from your deck. But then it locks into warriors for the rest of the turn. So if you're doing non-warrior stuff, you try and use this at the end of your combo, or like end of your turn, so you're not locked. But most of the time, you can just use this anytime during your turn. This can potentially just like be like another 3 copies of Warrock Mountain, because it can set Mountain and then you can just activate the same turn. So 2 of this plus Terraforming plus 3 Warrock Mountain is actually so much field spell, and the field spell searches any Warrock monster, which is why I say that the Warrock monsters are extremely searchable in the deck. Its second effect is really good for when you break a board turn 2 to stop them from doing anything turn 3. If you manage to get one of your level 7 or higher Warrock monsters out, as soon as they special summon a monster, it's kind of like a mini skill drain, as long as you have a level 7 or higher Warrock on the field, and they have a special summon monster. So yeah, that's just really good. It actually just kills some decks for making a comeback, and only negates the activated effects, not inherent effects. So some decks can still play through. It also does nothing against Flunderees. But yeah, still, it's basically a searcher that can potentially win you on like turn 3. Some people run 3, and I could bump this up to 3, but I don't know. I just found I searched it pretty often, because Fortia can search medium, so you could bump this up to 3, but as soon as you have 1 on the field, that's all you need. So could bump to 3. 2 worked fun for me, but definitely an argument for 3. Because medium lets you, medium and Fortia allow you to search any of your Warrock stuff. We don't need to run high ratios of any of the other Warrock spell or traps. So we run 2 dignity. Beforehand I was running this at 3, but 2 is definitely the way now. If you control a Warrock, it's kind of like a Forbidden Chalice or Imperm, you know, just negates the monster. But during the battle phase, it's an Omni Negate, which is really good. I got evenly matched twice on Sunday, and I just Warrock Dignity to stop evenly, and I'm like, yeah, nah. The one thing Warrocks are good at is the battle phase, the most useless phase, but Warrocks are good in it. So yeah, really good card. You only need 2 because it's once per turn, and it's super searchable in the deck. But yeah, 2, that's definitely nice. Last Warrock card is 1 Warrock Spirit, the monster reborn from the deck. Super annoying that if you special summon it in attack position, it can't attack directly, which is the second card that stops you from OTKing with this deck. However, it can still attack monsters. And if you special summon it in defense, it can't be destroyed by battle the first time it would be destroyed. And it actually gives all your Warrocks that battle protection. So it's special summoning it in defense means that your stuff's extremely hard to get rid of for that turn, and it makes it easy for you to trigger your effects. Honestly, I think it could be cuttable, but with Warrock Medium, I end up running out of stuff to search. Once I have the Field Spell and Dignity, I end up running out of stuff to search with it, and it can search every main phase. So I could cut this, but I'm not sure what I would replace it with. There's not that many good other Warrock options. There's the Trap that can special from deck, but it's a trap, so I don't really like it in this deck. But yeah, this is cuttable, but I think I might miss searching something. Onto the non-Warrock cards. 1 Terraforming, just another field spell. 1 Rota, just another one of like Fortia or Gakdos, whatever you want. I can also search the Warrior Lady, the attack reduction one, so you know she's searchable too. Very nice. 1 Corby, stop hand traps, banish things. Corby is good. 3 Extravs. We don't care about the extra deck. I use the extra deck like probably once every round. Yeah, so we just banish it, draw cards. We need the draw cards, so. Next is the kind of hand traps and going second board breaker stuff. People will see this and absolutely hate my ratios. I put this together the night before, and it's kind of just like, kind of trolling with the ratios, but yeah, feel free to change this to actually make sense. First of all, 3 Ash Blossoms. Yeah, not much to say. Ash Blossom's good. Stops a lot of stuff. Hate Branded Fusion. But yeah, 3 Ash Blossoms, pretty much no-brainer. Imperm. I only was running 2 because I only have 2 that I'm currently using. But I could easily bump. I mean, normal people would run it at 3, but I'm just running 2. And this is the trolley part. We have 1 Lightning Storm. Because it hits, you know, monsters or back row. Very flexible card. 1 Rageki. Just more monster removal. 1 Feather Duster. Because there's so many Trap Tricks players at locals. Just back row control decks in general that you got to run the Duster. 1 Book of Moon. It's just flexible. 1 Kaiju. Warlocks actually have a hard time getting past like really strong boss monsters. And they don't have much, like, if you can't lower their attack to 0, they just don't have an out for a lot of stuff. So I think Kaiju could easily be bumped up to 2, actually. But yeah, it worked out really well. 1 Alpha. People just don't expect it, and it works well with Kaijus, but you know, probably would run more Kaijus with the Alpha. And last of all, 1 Pankratops, because it's just a really nice card. It's limited for a reason. It's a beta, it can pop stuff. Yeah. These cards can conflict with Warrock Mountain because they're not warriors. But if it's not negated, or, I mean, if it's negated and destroyed, it's off the field anyways. But if its effect goes through, it won't be on the field. And worst case, this can just be used to tribute itself to pop a card. If you don't want it in the battle phase. But this normally, like, always warrants a response. Or, you know, it's like, oh no, Pankratops, you know, got to do something about it. So, most of the time, these 2 cards are such a big threat that they either do the job, or the opponent has to use something to stop them before the battle phase anyway. So they're never really, like, on the field during battle phase. But thought I'd mention that you can't Warrock Mountain if those on the field. So that's the main deck. I think it's 41 cards. I can't remember. If you want, someone can count them, but I think it's 41. The extra deck. We run a bunch of Xyz monsters, which I never really used at all. Again with Extrav. Vespanado never came up. Easily cut it. 2 Dweller. You know, if you want a Dweller pass. We do it just because it worked well with Warrock Mountain, because you can always banish it, so then you control no non-warrior monsters. Baguska could be bumped up to 2 if you want to Baguska, because, you know, Extrav you'll probably banish 1 half the time. But I just hate Baguska as a card. Gagaga Cowboy. I've had a second copy. I would actually bump this up to 2. The fact it's an Earth Warrior means you can protect it and boost its attack. And it works well for, like, so much of the Warrock stuff because it's an Earth Warrior. And even synergizes with Warrock Mountain. So you don't have to just Gaga Cowboy for game. This is actually a card that, you know, can be used to battle stuff and, you know, actually works well with the deck. So I would bump Gaga Cowboy up to 2. Next we have the Link 2s. We have 2 of the Ferocious Flame Swordsmen. It boosts the attack of all your warriors, and if it's destroyed, you can bring back a non-link warrior from your graveyard. Yeah, pretty good. Like, the boosting can help. Bringing back stuff when it's destroyed kind of is nice. Honestly, I use this card like once all day. You just don't use the extra deck like hardly at all. But it's a pretty nice link too. Then we run 1 Phoenix, could be bumped to 2. Again, I never really ran it. I have so much like back row removal in the deck anyways. 1 Earth Charmer, again, never really came up, but you know, usable. Link 3s, we have 2 Nightmare Unicorn. You know, get rid of stuff that I can't beat over by battle. Never came up. 1 Raten, the Heavenly General. He's not that good of a card, but he's an Earth Warrior, Link 3. And that alone kind of makes him sometimes nice. Never really came up. 1 Access Code did come up, and it's the only reason why the level 3s actually matter, because you just go, not level 3, Link 3s. Yeah, Link 3s just exist, basically. Link 3 Access Code. Oh, you know, Ferocious Flame Swordsman, Link 3 Access Code, you know. Yeah, big boy pop thing. Last card in extra deck is an Underworld Goddess for the Closed World. I would actually totally bump this up to 2. It 100% came up. I was versing a Buster Blader deck where they had the Buster Blader Fusion and the Buster Dragon Synchro. So I had actually had 3 Warlocks on the field already, but they were all changed to Dragon, changed to Defense, couldn't do anything. But what I was able to do was just normal summon 1 more monster during my turn, and then I linked away the 4 Warlocks and one of their Buster monsters to make this, and then beat over the other one with her. Yeah, and then the effects are just all kind of nice. They're just all effects that you're like, okay, I guess she does that too. Yeah, we'll totally bump her up to 2 to get rid of stuff that I can't get rid of. Not 1, because extra gets rid of it sometimes. But yeah, definitely would bump this up to 2. Side deck is, again, probably just memeing. 2 Nibiru. I don't like Nibiru in main, because it conflicts with Warlock Mountain. But, you know, against decks that it kills, you know. 2 Lancia, you know, a lot of banishing going on, and I don't like that, so let's just stop banishing. 2nd Kaiju, but I'll probably move this to the main, because the Kaiju worked really nice. 1 Change of Heart. If it's, I can link the monster away, or I can easily just tribute over it. Yeah, it comes, sometimes comes up. 2 Dark Ruler, no Morph, because it's Morphin time. Yeah, this card definitely come up. You don't have to do battle damage to trigger Warlock effects, you just need to, like, survive the battle. So even though you're not dealing any damage, this lets you actually battle and do stuff, and then you can win, hopefully. Back row removal, I already main Duster, so I've got 1 Twister and 2 Cosmic. There's no Evenly in this deck, because you need your battle phase. So you just can't... Evenly's really good at the moment, but you just can't Evenly in this deck. So that's the one unfortunate thing. These traps are just if I'm made to go first. 2 Anti-Spell. Yeah, just slow decks down, and 2-Dimensional Barrier. Also good against decks. I feel like most decks are affected by either one of these 2. And we're not affected by either of these either. That much. So, yeah, that's the deck. Don't at me at the ratios. And yeah, that's all. Feel free to ask any questions and critique my very bad build. Okay, see ya!